Right now on the National Weather Desk, eyes on the tropics. As more storms are brewing, we'll look back at the history of devastating October hurricanes. Caught on camera, a dash cam's rolling as a tornado roars through a Florida neighborhood.
It was 1 second explosion.
Waiting for power. Recovery from Hurricane Helene enters a new phase as near freezing temperatures arrive in the region.
And it's no telling when power will be completely restored.
While a major winter storm could bring feet of snow to Utah's mountains.
It's possible that you could get over 2 feet of snow.
A prolonged dry spell raises wildfire concerns in Texas. And a celebration of panda bears' love of snow.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Well, good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Emma Withrow. Unfortunately, hurricane season isn't over yet. Odds are increasing that a disturbance out in the Atlantic could soon develop into a storm. If that happens, it's going to be named Nadine. Meteorologist Jennifer Collins is tracking the tropics for us this morning.
We're running 2 areas in the Atlantic basin for potential development. The first one is a tropical wave that is moving to the west towards the Lesser Antilles and has about a 50% chance of development. Could see this maybe becoming a weak tropical depression, but a frontal boundary will prevent it from approaching the state of Florida. And then another area of disturbance just off the coast of Central America that will produce heavy rainfall here over the next couple of days and has about a 30% chance of development. So like I mentioned, that area we're monitoring, once it moves towards the greater Antilles, it will be blocked by a frontal boundary. So again, likely not making its way even towards our area.
So we don't quite know if this disturbance is going to turn into Nadine. Damaging hurricanes in late October do definitely happen. And as meteorologist Emily Gracie explains, we don't have to look too far back in time to find them.
Here are 3 times in the past 30 years where the U.S. has been impacted by October hurricanes. Back in 1998, Hurricane Mitch was one of the deadliest hurricanes in history. It began as a tropical storm and rapidly intensified into a Cat 5 hurricane. Winds decreased back to Cat 1 strength when it made landfall in Honduras on October 29th. But that didn't matter because it was the rain that was catastrophic. More than 9,000 people in several Central American countries died after the storm triggered flooding. Mitch made another landfall in Florida as a tropical storm. 7 years later, Wilma became the most intense hurricane ever in the Atlantic basin. It went through a rapid intensification, growing from a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm into a 170-mile-per-hour Category 5 hurricane in less than 24 hours. Wilma made its first landfall in Cozumel, Mexico as a Category 4 hurricane on October 21, 2005. It then made a U-turn and made a second landfall in Florida. 87 people died with damage estimated at more than $20 billion. And who could forget Hurricane Sandy? It caused damage in the Caribbean before moving north. By the time it reached New Jersey on October 29th, it was a post-tropical cyclone with 80-mile-per-hour winds. But it was the catastrophic storm surge that brought historic flooding from the Jersey Shore to New York City. Damage was estimated at $65 billion. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
1 week after Milton made landfall, 67,000 homes and businesses in Florida still don't have power. That includes dozens of schools in the Tampa area. Local officials say they'll be back online before students finally return to class tomorrow, luckily. This morning, we're also getting a dramatic new view of one of the tornadoes Milton spawned last week. A dash cam was actually rolling as a tornado roared past this car in the Port Salerno section of South Florida. A second camera facing inside shows the power of the twister shattering the car's back windows as it roared through the neighborhood. Dylan Huberman spoke with the man who owns the car and the house that collapsed on him.
Wednesday, October 9th, an EF2 tornado tore through the Mariner Sands community in Port Salerno, ripping homes to shreds.
I was underneath that debris. I was underneath that beam.
George Bustillo was pinned down when his home collapsed. The twister captured on his car's dash camera. Bustillo, his wife, and their dog taking cover inside their house.
It was 1 second explosion. Everything goes into the house, all the windows, everything, all the force of that tornado comes in, and the next second, the whole roof collapses on me and I'm pinned.
He says neighbors helped get him out with a jack propping up debris.
That's got to be the only place in the whole house that I would have survived.
Bastillo's home of more than 10 years is no more. Debris thrown everywhere, rooms visible from the streets, and part of his roof is in the pool out back.
Very few walls stayed up.
He's not dwelling on the loss of his home, though. He's just happy to be alive.
I have scratches and bruises and everything hurts, but I'm alive. My wife is alive and my dog's alive. I'm a lucky man.
Oh, definitely lucky, but not so lucky. 92 people are still listed as missing in North Carolina more than 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene ravaged Asheville and the western part of the state. All told, the storm took at least 228 lives across the southeast. For many survivors, the recovery has not been easy. Now, as the weather turns cold in the mountains, thousands are dealing with near freezing temperatures while still without power. Justin Berger has more.
On Tuesday evening on Guffey Mountain Road in Fairview, Frank McBride's thermometer dips below 40 degrees.
You put on layers.
An oil lamp illuminating his kitchen table.
It's a necessity. It's not an ambience, believe me.
His toilets haven't flushed in weeks. He doesn't have power.
The record for us is 5 days.
And how long's it been now?
18.
As his breath becomes more visible, he's piling on the layers, wearing multiple around the house, sleeping with extra comforters.
Luckily, a neighbor further up the mountain lent us the barbecue thing. You know, it's a little one, but it's fine. You know, have a hot tea here.
Many on his road are without power. Just outside his home, downed lines, splintered poles, and out-of-place transformers.
You seem to be very patient despite the fact that you haven't had power in 18 days.
Well, it's a 100-year storm. The last one was of this note was 1916. So I lived too long.
The cold weather is going to stick around for at least a few more days, and it's no telling when power will be completely restored.
And it's not just portions of North Carolina where the weather's starting to change. In the mountains of northern Utah, this weekend could definitely be a shock to the system. Heavy snow is expected with several feet possible in some areas. And it's also taking place at the height of deer hunting season. So Kristen McPeak is going to take a look at how folks in the region are preparing for all of this.
People are starting to notice that the weather changing and seeing the trend. It's going to cool off this weekend.
Colin Packard works in the hunting section at Shields Sporting Goods. Hunters are preparing for the upcoming wintry weather this weekend.
We've got a lot of insulated boots, insulated clothing, warmer jackets, warmer gloves.
Snow is something Chief Meteorologist Lindsay Storrs is closely tracking.
If you are going to be in the higher elevations, you need to be prepared for winter weather. And we're not just talking a little snow, we're talking feet of snow possible.
What about Strawberry Reservoir specifically? I know there's a lot of hunters that go out there as it's start of hunting season.
So in that area, in the western Uintas, you're going to get over a foot of snow. It's possible that you could get over 2 feet of snow.
One of Utah's busiest hunting weekends just days away. And with the fast change in temperatures,
just be prepared. Get ahead of it. We're seeing a lot of traffic with people coming in and buying all that stuff now.
So winter is still officially 2 months away, but climate experts are already predicting it's going to feel a lot different than last winter. That's because La Niña is expected to dominate the season. The climate pattern's marked by cooler than average ocean temperatures, which could bring more precipitation than normal in some parts of the country. That means a wetter and snowier winter for us. So La Niña is going to likely develop by next month. You may have heard that 2 giant pandas flew from China to the National Zoo in Washington yesterday. That's not exactly a weather story, but the animals do love one aspect of weather. They adore the snow. Every time it snowed in Washington, the pandas would be out rolling around, as you can see in this video, doing somersaults, sliding down the hills, and otherwise just having a fantastic time. Pandas are native to colder climates in China. Their thick fur is designed to keep them dry and warm. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, Austin, Texas has gone 40 days without rain. We'll see why officials are now warning about increased risk of wildfires. We'll also share some simple ideas on how to make this Halloween season a little bit more eco-friendly.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have a seasonably cool air mass that's hanging out in the Northeast today. Look for highs to struggle to get out of the 50s with a nice mixture of clouds and sun. Any leftover mountain rain and snow showers, those are moving out. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's some clouds and sun with temperatures running the 50s. So today stays cool. Tonight's going to be a cold night. Some of you will have a frost freeze, especially over northern New England. Then full sunshine gets going on Thursday. We're back in the 60s by Friday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region, starting out with a chilly day on Wednesday. Once again, we will only warm up to the 50s, but we'll be nice and dry. Fairly breezy for your afternoon. Until Thursday, we start to see high pressure building in. We'll get a lot more sunshine, but it is going to be a very dry forecast around this region for the next several days. Going into your high temperatures again in the upper 50s for your Wednesday. Looks like it'll be a chilly overnight. Thursday, still just a couple degrees warmer.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. That frontal boundary has made it through most of the southeast with the exception of South Florida. Areas to the north of the front seeing highs in the 60s and low 70s, upper 60s, and then we have the 70s down in Florida. 80s to the south of that frontal boundary passing through. Showers and storms expected along that frontal boundary as it makes its way through the Florida Peninsula, starting around Wednesday midday and then lingering until this evening. And then throughout the day, everywhere else is nice and dry.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Viewers continue to send images of the rare comet streaking across the sky. It should remain visible, although fainter each day through the end of the month. Steam fog lifted near Potash Mountain north of Albany, while in western New York, fog filled a valley near Rochester. And colors are shining brightly in Wisconsin, be they on trees over river or in the sky during sunrise near Green Bay.
Listen to Off the Radar. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, first responders from across the country were called in to help after Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Now, many of those people are heading home. Keisha Hancock looks at the work that they were doing and what made their deployment so unusual there.
A lot of storm surge, a lot of wind damage. It was a really bad storm, and fortunately, after about a week, we started seeing them. People started getting the recovery phase of the operation.
Task Force leader John Kaminsky reflected on how bad the damage in North Carolina and Florida was after Hurricanes Helene and Milton ripped through the area.
And then we went actually up into North Carolina to where we did the same type of operations in 3 different counties up in North Carolina. We actually sent us back from North Carolina back to Orlando.
Jeffrey Newman tells me the most challenging part of the entire process had to be the constant moving around. But since everyone was determined to get things done, that did not stop them from doing what they needed to do.
And we did about just under 20,000 search requirements that they wanted for us to do.
We searched their homes, make sure they got out, search the area to see exactly where the largest damage was, report that back to the officials.
The team tells me seeing tons of thousands of people experience so much damage was extremely devastating. But looking at the bright side, after so much hard work, they're glad to be back home.
Everybody's happy to be back with their families, get back into the normal routine of things back here. We'll still be thinking about the folks down there in Florida and North Carolina.
Without the support of our families, then we couldn't do this job.
There's some concern about increased chances for fire in the Austin area today due to a cold front moving through. The city's gone more than 40 days without rain, and the forecast is expected to remain dry for now, which is just the perfect recipe for a wildfire. So Betty Cross has more on this.
This 55-acre brush fire in East Austin last week burned hot and fast. At one point, the flames threatened a school, jail, and neighborhood. Wind shifts prevented any damage.
We haven't had that dry of a summer this summer, but we still have had drier conditions the past couple weeks, which allows for the fire to burn hotter and faster.
Those fire-friendly conditions have Travis County warning of an increased risk of wildfires, especially with a cold front. Eastern Travis County has already seen an uptick in grass fires, which is usually a good indicator of the wildfire risk across central Texas.
Because of the lack of rain, the humidity level, the wind, it's just the perfect storm, so to speak, for fire. So basically, it just doesn't take anything for it to start, and it burns rapidly.
Assistant Fire Marshal Chris Cowan says this new dozer is helping fire crews more quickly contain rapidly spreading grass fires. It's an additional weapon in Travis County's arsenal that will be essential with gusty winds increasing the fire risk.
It's a sprint. It's going really fast, and it's using a lot of the materials that are already there. It's burning them completely because there's just no moisture in the ground whatsoever.
So there's been a lot of talk this week about the Atlas comet. We've shown you some great photos, some videos of it as it moves through the sky, but do you know exactly what a comet is and what it's made of? I definitely don't. So meteorologist Sharon Graves is going to break it down for us.
What is a comet? It's basically a large object that's just made of a ball of dust and debris, and it has a frozen solid core to it. As this orbits the sun, it's getting pulled by gravity toward the sun, and as it gets close to the sun, some of that ice in the core of the comet starts to turn into gases, and those gases are blown by the solar wind from the sun, causing a tail to form, and that's why it has that look to it when you see it in the night sky. We've been getting some beautiful photos of this from not only our KRCG weather watchers, but also on our Chime In page. And take a look at this. This was taken Sunday evening by Tiffany Peters, taken near Lynn. Here's the tail of the comet, and here it is. Notice it's low on the horizon, and that's where you will see it again tonight. I have another photo I want to share with you, taken by Pam Stewart at Higbee, and this was yesterday evening. And you can see, again, very familiar. Here's the core of the comet, here's the tail, and it's just something really cool to see in the evening sky. So if you do want to view it, you got to get a good view of it on the horizon. If you have a lot of trees blocking, you may not see it. So you got to have a good clear western horizon, as seen here by Gina Martin. There are the trees, there's the tree line, and you can see it's pretty low. But some beautiful photos sent into us on that comet.
Halloween's 2 weeks from tomorrow. I know we're all excited. The holiday obviously brings lots of joy and fun, but it can also bring some major problems for the environment, unfortunately. So meteorologist Garrett Hyde is going to explain this.
You might be shocked to hear that Halloween is one of the most wasteful holidays in the United States, and it's not just from all of the candy wrappers. Halloween is a chance to dress up and load up on candy, but costumes are one of the largest source of waste following October 31st, as many are actually only used about once. A 2019 study found that nearly 83% of costumes use non-recyclable oil-based plastics, which can take anywhere from 20 to 200 years to break down. However, there are ways to make Halloween a little less scary to the environment.
If we can use items that are just around the house, get creative with what we already have, or we can certainly go to secondhand or consignment stores, or we think of durable decorations that we can buy and keep for the next year, reuse them again and again versus throwing them out. Another great way to reuse during Halloween is using a reusable basket or a reusable bag to collect that candy.
You should also think before you toss those jack-o'-lanterns out into the trash. It's estimated that around 1 billion pounds of pumpkins end up in the landfills following Halloween. And once there, they break down and create nearly 83 million pounds of methane, a gas that's nearly 25 times more harmful than carbon dioxide. And instead of throwing them into the trash, you can actually compost your pumpkins either in your own composting bin or your local composting center. That not only helps cut down on the release of gases, but also helps return a lot of those nutrients back into the soils for other plants.
So in northern Michigan, there's a new initiative designed to protect more natural spaces. It's an extension of efforts that started more than half a century ago. Meteorologist Trevor Robodeau explains.
Land protection with this initiative will be done by outright purchasing land. This way, the LTC can be the forever caretakers of that land and share it with the community.
We're going to open some of them to hunting if that's relevant. We're going to open some of them to access to the lakes. And some of them we're going to keep as natural as possible.
The Wild Shores Initiative also means focusing on key areas the Conservancy wants to protect.
So one we already have been focusing on is the Maple River. We've called it the Maple River Initiative. And in the last 5 years, we've doubled our protection along the river. It's just a key watershed area.
The LTC hopes this initiative will bring a sense of community to everyone by protecting the North Country we all love.
And time now for a short break, but first we're going to take in some beautiful views of Montana from the sky.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. We have got some quiet weather across the Midwest for the next several days. And a lot of us a little warmer than what we were yesterday. A little cool still across the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley with highs in the 50s. But we start getting back in the 60s and 70s. And how about 80s there in the Dakotas? Got a little bit of rain trying to sneak into the northern plains by Friday, but a lot of sun across the rest of the Midwest.
Well, a good Wednesday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast today across the region, and cold front heading into South Texas. Behind it, gusty winds, big drop in those temperatures. Very refreshing day setting up with a lot of sunshine, 60s and 70s for highs across the region. They get a couple of showers way down there towards Brownsville, Texas. Thursday morning, a little bit of a chill in the air, 40s and 50s for morning lows, and look at that afternoon. Sunshine, 60s and 70s.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, it's feeling more and more like fall should here in the middle of October. Another disturbance due into the Pacific Northwest today will tamp down the temps into the 50s and the 60s with scattered showers and mountain snow. Phoenix finally, again, routinely under 100 degrees for a nice change of pace. You can see some of the showers making it through the Sierra Nevada today as well. And that's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
We mentioned earlier that it's starting to feel like winter in a lot of different places, but for most of us, winter's still 2 months away. So meteorologist Sarah Converse says now's the time for some reminders on ways that you can make sure your home's ready for this cold weather we're about to face.
The chilly weather is a reminder that winter is around the corner. Brad Passarge with Apex Pros walks us through the ways you can prepare your home. From outside your home.
We want to go ahead and disconnect it here at the house so that way it doesn't freeze inside.
To inside.
You want to make sure that you turn on the faucet so it has a nice steady slow drip, that way it doesn't freeze. And then if it's on an exterior wall, you want to make sure you open up the cabinets underneath so that some warm air hits it.
And even in the basement.
If you have a pleated filter, you're definitely going to want to switch these out at least once a month.
These measures can prevent costly repairs and ensure your home stays warm and safe during the winter months.
And for more content like this, be sure to check us out on our social media. We also post the latest photos and videos from our team of meteorologists across the country. You can find us on all of your favorite social platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk, and we're going to be right back. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Emma Withrow. Make it a great Wednesday, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.